Hello and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. Thank you for joining us. I am Ifoma Ojinta. President Muhammadu Buhari has formally endorsed the candidature of Governor Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State for a second term. The Chairman Caretaker Committee of the All Progressives Congress, Governor Mi Malabuni of Yobe State, announced this while briefing journalists after an audience with the President. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
The chairman APC Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, Mai Malabuni, was in the State House to formally present Governor Rotimi Akeredolu as the governing party's candidate for the forthcoming Ondo governorship election. Along with them were the deputy governorship candidate, Lucky Ayedatiwa, the chairman of the campaign council and governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, as well as his Plateau State counterpart, Simon Lalong. APC begins campaign for Ondo governorship election on Saturday, and President Muhammadu Buhari is optimistic that the governor's mandate will be renewed by the people of the Sunshine State. This, he said, is to keep alive the implementation of the next level agenda for sustainable socio-economic development.
Mr. President has endorsed him. He commended him for his efforts in the last 4 years. That's what we've been looking for. His blessing, his endorsement, his encouragement and support. And we have gotten that.
When you have a good product and the people have seen and they've agreed with you that that's the choice they want to make, it makes the job a whole lot easier. And so for us, it's really about ensuring that we do not take anybody for granted. That's why we're not going to be resting on our oars. Even when we know that he's done very well, we will still go through the entire gamut of campaigning to reassure them that their governor, our candidate, will continue on a good job that he's doing.
Ondo State is an APC state, and we are certain that it's not going to get out of hand. What am I going to do different? A lot. I mean, I have a lot of projects that we have not completed. Today, we speak to the people of Ondo State that, look, we are determined to have Port Ondo. And that is the port that will service the whole of West Africa. I'm appealing to the people of Ondo State, let us see this project to fruition. We need to be there to steer the affairs of state to ensure that bitumen comes on board from Ondo State. That's where we have the largest deposit of bitumen, second largest in the world. And these are things we are convinced we will have to do.
Ondo governorship election is scheduled for the 10th of October 2020. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has been commended for providing effective leadership for good governance in Nigeria. Director General of Good Leadership Support Organization gave the commendation at a stock-taking event on President Buhari's political ideology, principles, policies and implementation so far. Francis Fom reports.
The achievements of President Muhammadu Buhari in the fight against corruption, enhanced agricultural production, revamping of the economy, and the fight against insecurity, among other developmental policies and programs, is a major reason for this gathering. Former Minister of Health, Professor Onyebuchichukwu, is appreciative of the President's commitment in providing quality healthcare services to Nigerians.
If the President approved universal healthcare as a team for the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, it means he considers it a very big priority. So what are we waiting for? So we have someone in power today who believes in universal health coverage.
The party is committed to upholding the political ideology of Mr. President. The man who has shown exemplary leadership.
To ensure that the populace are properly informed about the achievements of the present administration, the convener urged relevant institutions to step up action on public enlightenment.
The political ideology of Mr. President is double-barreled. It is means-tested. It is universal. It is safety net and also a springboard to reaching greater height. And all the mechanism to breaking the cycle of poverty in Nigeria has been laid bare on the table of social justice for each and everyone to access.
Good Leadership Support Organization is a politically oriented non-governmental organization with the mandate of entrenching ethical political ideology, principles and policies in the polity. In Abuja, Francis from NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the appointment of Ibrahim Audu Meriga as the Executive Secretary, Federal Government Staff Housing Loans Board, with effect from 24th July 2020 for a term of 4 years in the first instance. The letter conveying the approval was signed by the Head of Service of the Federation, Dr. Folashade Yemi-Esong. She stated that the new appointment calls for dedication, hard work and commitment for the realization of the mandates of the board. She therefore advised Mr. Meriga to bring his wealth of experience to bear on the task ahead. Meriga was the Director, Employment, Mobility and Director overseeing the Office of the Permanent Secretary, Career Management in the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation before his current appointment. The policies and programs of the Buhari administration are youth-driven in order to reposition young Nigerians economically and reduce unemployment. Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Senator George Akume, said this when he received the APC National Executive Committee Integrity Group in Abuja. Mitaire Ikpen reports.
The meeting afforded the minister and members of the APC NEC Integrity Group opportunity to take stock of the strides of the Buhari administration across critical sectors. The minister noted that the foresight of the present administration in drafting and implementing the Nigeria Economic Sustainability Plan in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic is to safeguard and consolidate on various economic policies aimed at improving the well-being of the masses.
Look at the new fund established by government, 75 billion for the youths, and there are a lot more which seek to integrate the youth into the mainstream of the Nigerian economy. Give your support to the president, defend him wherever you are, defend your party. Be very proud because of the achievements.
We to appreciate you for the support you are giving to this administration, the good representation you are giving to APC as a party.
Nigerians are urged to keep faith with the Buhari-led federal government in its quest to open more economic corridors for Nigerian youths to thrive. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
A British court has granted Nigeria more time to appeal a $10 billion arbitration case with the company Process Industrial Development, P&ID. This development is regarded as a landmark victory in Nigeria's pursuit to overturn the $10 billion judgment awarded against her. Delivering his judgment, Ross Cranston, a judge of the Business and Property Court of England and Wales, granted Nigeria's application for an extension of time and relief from sanctions. P&ID won a $6.6 billion arbitration award after a 2010 deal to carry out a gas project in Nigeria collapsed. The award has been accruing interest since 2013 and is now worth nearly $10 billion. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo is tasking the media on reporting of virtual court proceedings as he joins the conversation on the question around reporting of virtual court proceedings, which he describes as a crucial exercise of the right to fair hearing. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
I think that an opportunity that this offers us is to get rid of as much technicality as possible. This is the opportunity that we're offered. And I'm so pleased that the Supreme Court did not even hesitate in saying that, well, as far as we're concerned, virtual proceedings are illegal. I've been very...
Attorneys General of Lagos and Ekiti States kickstarted the conversation when they approached the Supreme Court to determine whether, having regard to the constitutional requirement that court proceedings must be held in public by the use of technology or remote hearing. The decision of the Supreme Court was that this is constitutional. But Vice President Yemi Osinbajo sounds a note of warning here to media practitioners that there is limit to this.
What perhaps practice directions may have to address? What are the limits? Clearly, no one is allowed except with permission to publish live proceedings of a court. But, you know, we need to really determine how this will work. We need to ask the relevant questions. And I think that in developing these practice directions, the media has to very quickly occupy the space.
The last may not have been hard on this conversation, as the Vice President notes more works still need to be done to arrive at a system towards having justice. The webinar was organized by Gavel International in the State House. Jide Onifade, NTA News.
Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Temipre Silva, has urged Nigerians not to politicize the deregulation of the downstream subsector of the industry. Silva, who calls for understanding, says the temporary hardship from the price hike, which is a consequence of market forces, will ease off compared to the benefits that Nigerians will soon experience. Lydia Sampson reports.
Price fluctuation is the normal in a deregulated oil and gas sector. This is because in reaction to the dictates of demand and supply, prices may rise or fall. Ironically, with the rise comes inherent difficulties, which experts are quick to acknowledge are only temporary.
You all know Mr. President's alignment with the position of the poor people in Nigeria. He has always been on the side of poor people. And left to Mr. President, I am very certain that he will never have increased pump price. But for this to happen, we must understand that this must be an inevitable policy direction, especially at this time of COVID-19. COVID-19 saw oil prices at the zero zone, something that has never happened before, at the negative zone.
The minister said already plans are underway for all NNPC retail stations to go beyond selling of petrol to alternatives like diesel and other products to ease the harsh impact. He said as part of efforts at engagement, the ministry has set up a complaint box for dissatisfied customers to drop complaints. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Nationwide continues as we join Dotun in Lagos for more reports. Hello, Dotun.
Thank you, Ifoma. As schools in Lagos State prepare to resume full academic activities, the government is putting up measures to ensure uninterrupted and improved standard of learning. This plan will be actualized through the intervention programs by the Federal and Lagos State Universal Basic Education Commission. Hinginujan Adams reports that to realize this goal, teaching and learning equipment were presented to 6 inclusive units in the state.
As the world focuses on achieving Sustainable Development Goals 4 and 10, which center around attaining equitable quality education and reducing disability-based inequality, Nigeria is also committed to providing all-inclusive and relevant basic education for citizens. In order not to leave any child behind, the Lagos State government, through the Universal Basic Education Commission, in its intervention program, has presented specialized vocational and instructional materials to enhance learning.
With talks on school reopening already gaining traction, This intervention will help in revitalizing these 6 beneficiary inclusive units. In line with our resolve to create quality, equitable, all-inclusive and relevant basic education in Lagos State.
Teaching and learning will be promoted, and the quality of instruction as well in terms of delivery will also be enhanced.
6 inclusive units, Badagry, Etiosa, Ibejuleki, Koshofe, Lagos Island and Mushin are among the first beneficiaries.
They'll be able to identify the areas they have skills.
This equipment will enhance, will help the teachers, will help these children.
There are some of them that may not be able to read and write to some level, so at least they will have another knowledge.
The equipment are expected to ease the practice of teaching and learning for special students in the state. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
And still on education, the West African Senior School Certificate Examination is ongoing across the country. An overview of the process so far indicates that compliance with COVID-19 protocol is high.
17th of August marked the beginning of the 2020 West African Senior School Certificate Examination, WASC. Many candidates who registered for the examination were not optimistic about sitting for the exam this year due to the coronavirus pandemic. Currently, fulfillment is high for candidates who have already sat for some subjects.
There was a time I just kept on, I have my go-to and I've been really making it.
All students have been following the rules of the WAEC officials. There is no good examination malpractice throughout the exam, and everybody is always putting on their face masks.
Weeks into the examination, some teachers say the process has been seamless.
The students have been well coordinated and all of that. Even the invigilators don't come on time.
There are times we had a mix of those that registered, that didn't register some courses, but they said they wanted to write it, so we were able to sort it out.
As the examination coasts to a finish, most of the students are confident that they would excel because they had ample time to prepare. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
Let's take the first break on Nationwide. Ifoma will be back shortly with more reports.
Thanks for staying tuned. President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and other relevant government agencies to urgently assess the situation in areas affected by flood disasters in Jigawa State with a view to providing the needed humanitarian supplies. In a statement, President Buhari commended the prompt response by the Jigawa State government and assured the readiness of the federal government to deploy the much-needed assistance as required. The statement added that the president will continue to follow very closely reports of flood situation across the country and ensure that relevant government agencies are well prepared to respond to such disasters and mitigate associated risk. Meanwhile, 4 persons have lost their lives in Dagu village of Warji local government area of Bauchi State following a heavy downpour last Sunday that flooded the community. Mahmoud Ibn Mohammed reports that Governor Bala Mohammed was at the community and assures them of government's intervention.
The devastating effect of Mother Nature is no doubt incomprehensible, as homes and at least 150 farms were destroyed in the Dagu village of Warji local government area after hours of heavy downpour last Sunday.
The Ministry of Works is directed to come here and design a flood drain in the town so that at the end of the day, this thing will not happen. We are going to work with the federal government, with other public spirited individuals and the organized private sector, the international community, to make sure we take inventory of all our environmental problems and challenges.
We keep emphasizing to people that whenever you are building, you must make sure you study the terrain, you must make sure you did not block water passage to avoid this unnecessary flood.
With 7 local government areas already affected by flood, The government of Bauchi State, through the State Emergency Management Agency, will train 800 volunteers as a rapid response squad for emergencies. In Bauchi, Mahmoud Ibn Muhammad, NTA News.
In the meantime, federal and state governments have been urged to compensate and mobilize farmers who suffered losses from flood disasters in order to mitigate the impact on food security. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria also called for a holistic approach with neighboring countries to find lasting solutions to the recurring flood challenges. Lydia Sampson reports.
Farmers in Kebbi State are yet to recover from the crops and husbandry losses due to recent flooding in the state. Experts project that Nigeria has not seen the end of the 2020 floods. Though early warnings are improving, the guests say more can still be done.
The key for us is to support those farmers as quickly as possible so that they can replant as the water recedes, in order to regain some crop loss and reduce the aggregate loss to themselves, to ourselves, and to the nation.
Kebbi issue is so glaring, so devastating, and it called for immediate action. But that does not mean other incidences were not important. So NEMA is always ready.
They acknowledge that flooding is a global challenge compounded by human activities, hence the need for strict adherence to town planning regulations.
Once there is a red alert in Niamey, Niger Republic, and Malanville in Benin Republic, Nigeria will be in for it.
Response to flooding in Nigeria hasn't been that, I would say, physically sufficient. But when NIMET makes a prediction and NISA gives us the outlook and we know the flooding and all this, people should be ready from that point.
Optimal and continuous utilization of dams was also advocated to harness the nation's water resources. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
And to other news, the air component of Operation Thunderstrike has neutralized several armed bandits and disrupted their camps in the Kuduru and Kwambana forest areas of Kaduna State. A statement by Coordinator, Directorate Defense Media Operations, Major General John Enenche, indicates that this was achieved through separate airstrikes carried out on the 2nd and 3rd September 2020 on the heels of credible intelligence reports showing that the two locations were being used as staging areas by the bandits. The air component dispatched Nigerian Air Force jets and helicopter gunships to attack the Kuduru forest hideout after aerial surveillance confirmed bandit activities within the location, scoring accurate hits. Similarly, at the Kwambana forest, bandits were seen along with many rustled cattle around some huts and makeshift structures. The nav jets and helicopter gunships engaged the area in successive passes, neutralizing some of the bandits. We now link up with our Kaduna studio for more reports with Salamatu on Nationwide. Hello, Salamatu.
Hello, Ifoma. Thanks for joining us here in Kaduna. Rigachukun Bridge is now open for traffic. This follows the completion of the remedial work on the bridge. Abdullahi Muhammad reports.
Early morning showers and a sigh of relief for commuters who ply the Zaria-Kaduna highways. It was a difficult moment for them a couple of days ago as a portion of one of the bridges here caved in. Thanks to a prompt response by the federal government, that has been fixed and traffic has normalized on this lane of the road.
As you can see, just as we have promised, within 2 days we will be able to put everything back in shape. The road has been open, it's motorable, everything has been restored to normalcy. So everything is working, the traffic is no more there, I think everything is okay. So this one now is an additional call for us to be proactive. All that needs to be done, we have to do that.
Observers are saying that this shouldn't be taken as a license for any form of reckless driving. In Kaduna, Abdullahi Muhammad, NTA News.
Thank you, Abdullahi. Correspondent Abdullahi Muhammad is here in the studio to give us a live update on that report. Now, Abdullahi, You've been following this story right from day one to the reopening of the bridge. What's your take on that?
I think, Salamatu, what is key is that our people should learn to exercise patience whenever there is any kind of emergency. You know what happened that they shouldn't have happened because our people are not they are impatient. People got the wind of the fact that had happened. Motorists, instead of them maintaining that same lane and adhering to the emergency traffic rule that was in place as at that time, they refused to do that. These ones take one way, the others come the other way. Before you know it, the whole place was in a mess. And I am telling you that a lot of people spent the better part of that night on that bridge that day. Again, I want to raise my thumbs up for the Nigerian Television Authority for ensuring that they are there throughout the 5 days that this has happened, bringing updates on whatever happens on that bridge. And then again, a very prompt response from the federal government through the Federal Ministry of Works, coming in with men and machine. You know, that portion of the bridge that had that issue is not part of the project itself on the highway. So the controller had to come up with papers and formalize that work to be done and carried out. And then the contractors came in, and then they did it this morning. We got there, the whole place is open to traffic. From the visuals you're seeing, everything is okay now, both ways. Traffic from the other side and this other side is free.
All right, Abdullahi, what assurance is there for road users regarding this fixed portion?
Of course, I have spoken to experts pertaining what they have done there, and they are assuring that that thing will last as long as that, in the lifetime of that bridge. We don't know exactly the lifetime of the bridge. They said the bridge has been there for about 50 years, but some bridges even can last for 100 years or so. But they have given us assurance that what the kind of work that they have carried out there is a kind of an environmentally friendly work, and they are very sure that they won't have any problem with it as far as that portion is concerned.
Well done, Abdullahi.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for sharing your time with us. Moving on, rice farmers in some parts of Kaduna State are counting their losses in the aftermath of flood, which destroyed about 500 hectares of rice farms in Kachia and Igabi local government areas. Majama Adamu reports that the incident constitutes a setback to rice production in the country.
The affected rice farms were submerged as a result of torrential rainfall, which lasted for more than 48 hours. As a result, farmers recorded colossal loss estimated at more than 80 million naira. The situation has slowed down the commitment of rice farmers to produce more for local consumption and export. While on a sensitive visit to affected farms, the chairman of Rice Farmer Association Kaduna State Chapter Alhaji Muhammad Umar Numbu called on the federal government to roll out palliative schemes to assist rice farmers in the country who are affected by the flood.
With this damage, there is going to be a big loss, and which that is why we come here to see to ourselves and report to the appropriate authorities so that they should come to our aid, so that the farmer, without any support, the farmer cannot be able to pay his loan.
You can even see all these places you have seen. It's rice. The farm rice there, and the floods are taken over.
So the affected farmers say they invested more than 80 million naira, which was part of the loan facilities procured from the Central Bank of Nigeria under the Anchor Borrower Scheme.
I have more than 10 hectares of farmland here, which I cultivated rice, and with the look of things, I cannot even identify my farm.
They call on the federal government to provide incentives to them to cushion the effect of the flood. In Kaduna, Majama Adamu, NTA News.
That is it from here. Nationwide continues in Abuja with Ifoma.
Thank you very much, Salamatu. Now, Public Work Initiative of the federal government is set to kick off October 1st in all the 774 local government areas in the country, as all the state selection committees have completed their jobs. Minister of State, Labour and Employment, Festus Keyamo, disclosed this in Abuja while answering questions from journalists on the implementation and monitoring committee to be announced soon.
There will be implementation committees at different levels to ensure the proper documentation of those who have been selected. They will work closely with the banks. They will also select the projects to be done, and they will also go ahead and supervise the work. That will, the different works that will be done in the various local governments. In other words, we don't just want to give people money and sit down here in Abuja and assume that those community services are going on everywhere.
You can imagine what 52 billion will do microeconomically at the local government level, because this is the biggest single employment drive, grassroots community-based job ever carried by any government in the history of this country.
Benefits in terms of payments are to be done transparently through the banks in every locality. 4 months to the end of the current Vision 2020 and the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, critical stakeholders and sub-nationals are keying in to the new medium-term national development plans. Chimobi Walter Nnaji reports that this was made known by the Minister of State's Budget and National Planning, Clem Agba, while giving a scorecard of the policies and sectoral performance.
Creation of the technical and central working groups from the medium-term national development plan are immediate steps taken by the Budget and National Planning Ministry to ensure there is no vacuum in government plans and policies. The macroeconomic framework report already submitted by the technical working group was key to the development of the new medium-term economic framework 2021 to 2023, which forms the basis for the preparation of the 2021 budget. While addressing journalists on the new policy direction, Minister of State Budget and National Planning Clem Ikanade Agba said the plan is expected to put into consideration all interests and peculiarities from both national and sub-national entities.
These steps were all taken in the beginning to ensure that henceforth annual budgets are derived from national development plans, thereby fostering plan discipline in successive years. We intend to deepen consultation with subnational governments to ensure that plan discipline is entrenched in the system if we are to make the desired changes in the economy.
Not unaware of the demands and the overwhelming nature of this assignment, most especially with the prevailing COVID-19 pandemic, which has made it impossible for the groups to have physical meetings. However, work is progressing via adoption of virtual meetings.
The minister noted that the plan, when fully implemented, will serve as a policy directive in areas of agriculture, manufacturing, transportation, housing and urban development, education and health, among many others, to ensure government trail-focused and sustainable growth. In Abuja, Chimobi Walter Nnaji, NTA News.
The viewer popular television program in the 80s and late 90s, The Village Headmaster, will soon return to the screen of Nigerians. This follows the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Nigerian Television Authority and Wale Adenuga Production TV Limited. Abubakar Usman Akwanga reports that the partnership is also assessing options for the reintroduction of more television drama shows that were favorites of Nigerian viewers in the last 2 decades.
Long and nearly forgotten memories of the thrilling television program Village Headmaster is returning after decades of its disappearance on Nigerian screen. This is happening as the management of the Nigerian Television Authority signs a memorandum of understanding with WAP TV Limited to explore a new dawn of reawakening Nigerian content television series show with a renewed touch.
I would like to personally assure everyone
that the new production of the Village Headmaster will be available on TV to millions of families across Nigeria and beyond, starting in January 2021.
We need to look at the co-production of Zebrodaya. We need to look at a co-production of Magana Jarishi. So the sky is the limit. And with Wale Adenuga and NTA, I think it will take a lot to beat us.
This is just a glimpse of a flashback of one of the episodes with faces of pioneer characters that brought diverse feelings to viewer and gave Nigerians a sense of fulfillment.
The teaching profession needs me. Rubbish.
What did you say, Mr. Garba?
Nothing, sir, nothing.
I said, the headmaster, you see, I've just come to apologize for the trouble I caused you on account of these common entrance palaver.
The partnership is building a new roadmap to driving an indigenous television content programs into the broadcast ecosystem and to promote TV shows peculiar to Nigerian people and culture. With the new partnership, the two organizations hoped to allocate more airtime in the promotion of local programs that project true African image. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Director General of the Nigerian Television Authority, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed, says discipline and commitment to executing core mandates will continue to be the watchword of the organization. Ben Mitu reports that the Director General said this while inaugurating projects at NTA Lafia, Nasarawa State.
Through internally generated revenue, NTA Lafia built new infrastructure and rehabilitated old ones. Among the new ones, accommodation for welfare of staff as well as for those coming to Lafia on official engagements. The Director General commended the General Manager, the management and the entire staff for achieving the feat. He recalled how the station was before the posting of the General Manager, saying it is a wake-up call to his colleagues to generate resources and transform their stations.
You couldn't have achieved this thing, by working alone, So we need to put our heads together, put our minds to it, make things happen by initiating things. And you people in Lafia have done a very good job. I'm very proud of the entire workforce of NTA Lafia.
While addressing staff, Yakubu Ibn Mohammed challenged NTA stations on effective utilization of resources and entrenching excellent work ethics at all times. He reminds them to be disciplined at all times. Hamza Musa Makarfi says the DGs exemplified excellent leadership in changing the face of NTA and thanked him for assisting the station. In Lafia, Ben Mitu, NTA News.
Updates on COVID-19 now. The Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has announced 124 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria. The latest figures released bring the total number of confirmed cases to 54,587 infections in the country. A breakdown of the new cases from 13 states indicates that Lagos recorded the highest number for the day with 42 new cases, while FCT has 25 new cases, Katsina 14, Kaduna 11, Kwara 8, and Ondo State recorded 7 new cases. Others are Delta 4, Anambra and Oyo States recorded 3 cases each, while Edo, Ogun, and Osun States recorded 2 cases each. The day's tally is completed by Cross River State, recording 1 case. Confirmed cases by states, Lagos has the highest with 18,219, followed by FCT with 5,238, and Oyo comes third with 3,139 cases. With the latest development, total number of active cases stands at 10,912, while 42,627 cases have been successfully treated and discharged, while 1,048 patients died, unfortunately. Let's now join Larry waiting in Ibadan to give us more reports on Nationwide. Hello, Larry.
evening, Ifoma, and welcome to Ibadan. Investing in human empowerment sets a direct path towards poverty eradication and inclusive economic growth. This played out with the empowerment program organized by the APC senator representing Oyo North Senatorial District.
A moment of excitement for over 2,000.
Adebayo's report is here presented.
It was a moment of excitement for over 2,000 people from Oyo North Senatorial District who benefited from the third Omoluabi Mega Empowerment Program powered by Senator Abdul Fattah Buhari. Beneficiaries of the items worth millions of naira included students, artisans,
We sincerely apologize for that. We seem to be having some problems with our Ibadan Network Center. And moving on, the National Social Investment Program of the federal government have been applauded once again. The commendation comes this time around from focal persons appointed by state governors to oversee the effective implementation of various social impact projects. This was during a presentation of their scorecard to the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development in an interactive session organized by the ministry in Abuja. Ruth Aguele reports.
I've been a victim of joblessness for over 4 years, but Empower came in to put a smile on my face.
Beneficiaries clearly excited about the impact of the federal government's national social investment programs in their lives. This feat was made possible with the role played by focal persons who ensure that these interventions are well implemented in grassroots areas across the 36 states and the FCT. Presenting their scorecards for the task given to them by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, they are optimistic of the programs with the successes already recorded, which has greatly impacted the lives of the beneficiaries.
We drive this process at state level, and we try as much as we could to see that the program operates within the established protocols.
And in Plateau State, we are very fortunate to have started the implementation of Empower Junior, which is establishment of ICT center in 2 pilot schools.
Like we saw in Abia State some weeks ago, when we paid out 540 million to beneficiaries of the conditional cash transfer program. For the very first time in their lives, they received money directly into their hands.
For the ministry, these key interventions are timely as they depict commitment in efforts by the federal government towards eradication of poverty in the country.
There is no doubt that the social investment programs are critical components of the present administration's activities and are vehicles through which His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari's vision of lifting 100 million people out of poverty in the next 10 years will be achieved. It is against this background that I urge every one of you to continue to give in your best to ensure the lives of those who are called to serve are made better.
There are high expectations from the facilitators for an improved service delivery to make a difference in the lives of the poor and vulnerable in the country. In Abuja, Ruth Aguele, NTA News.
Our last port of call is Maiduguri, and Abubakar is ready to deliver. Hello, Abubakar.
You can say that again, Ifoma. It's really good to see you. Borno State Government has assured returning residents of Ajeri village in Mafa local government area of provision of basic amenities to make them comfortable. Governor Babagana Umar Zulum gave them the assurance when he visited the community on his way to Dikwa in continuation of rural assessment ahead of resettlement of displaced persons across the state. Mohammed Guni reports.
Borno State Government, as part of reconstruction, rehabilitation and resettlement efforts, returned IDPs from Ajiri to their community of origin to enable them pick up the pieces of their lives. Governor Wagana Umara said he was happy to see them resettle in their community and charged them to be law-abiding and cooperate with the security operatives, as well as imbibe maintenance culture. He said government will complete and equip the health center in their community, while medical and health workers will be deployed to the area. And the father directed Ministry for Reconstruction, Rehabilitation and Resettlement to procure a generator to power the borehole, which depends on solar energy. The governor father assured them of continuous support and father advised them to unite for the overall development and to send their wards to school, which will soon be provided. He also used the opportunity to again call on the insurgents to embrace peace to allow people to return to normal life. In Jikwa town, Professor Wagana Umara, amidst heavy downfall, assessed the over 400 hectares of farmlands dedicated to Fadama irrigation, which will be allocated to the citizens of the area as part of efforts to resuscitate agricultural activities. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
Schools ravaged by insurgency in the northeast will be rehabilitated by the federal government intervention under the Education Endowment Fund of the Northeast Development Commission, NEDC. Managing Director of the Commission, Mohammed Goni Al-Kali, disclosed this while assessing damages at Command Boys Science Secondary School, Aunu, in Konduga local government area of Borno State. Mohammed Ibrahim has more on that.
Command Science Secondary School Auno was established in 2017 by Nigerian Army in collaboration with Borno State government, which donated the school infrastructure. The permanent site of the school, located 24 kilometers west of Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, which the acting school commandant Major Abubakar Hassan explained to the NEDC delegation, suffered insurgents' attacks, which left it in a shadow of itself. To get back on its feet, the school requested reconstruction and rehabilitation of all the school infrastructure, power supply, and engagement of more teachers. The NEDC delegation also assessed the school in session at the temporary site accommodated in Government Day Secondary School, Maiduguri, where Deputy Director Education Services 7th Division Nigerian Army, Colonel Abdul Hamid Ahmed, said is being run by the Army and the state government, shouldering cost of school fees as obtains in Miringa in Biu local government. Managing Director NEDC, who was impressed with the school still in session, assured that the Commission will enter a tripartite arrangement with the Army and the state government to renovate the permanent site and possible relocation without compromising the security of teachers and students.
Some parents not paying school fees, not having a laboratory, a library, all this is a part of the things our endowment will cover. So we look at it very critically and package it and see how that can be accommodated in the endowment fund.
While addressing the students, the managing director announced approval of supply of foodstuff to cater for the boarding students now writing exit examinations. In Maiduguri, Muhammad Ibrahim, NTA News.
Those are the latest stories from Maiduguri.